Stranger Things. Well, what an epic finale, man. That was amazing. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better finale. I was hugely impressed by both episodes. This the final episode is just 2.5 hours long, and I just loved every bit of it. The way the story is structured and the way everything from the beginning came together. I loved seeing that. The characters coming together, that was a big part of this season. They were separated in different places, but at the end they came together. I think one of the things that missing, some people said it were missing, was that every character didn't fight in the final battle, which I get, but I also find it refreshing that they don't always have to do that. And this time they
Mhm.
were separated, and maybe at the end they came together, so maybe for the next season they will be together, right? All back in Hawkins, so they'll definitely be together, and that will be fine. And I cannot wait for next season. But this season, I think, I was kind of on the fence about it being the best season or not, because I just love the first season the most. And it's a very high bar, but I still am not sure exactly. But I would say that at this point, watching all this, I would say that yes, it has outdone the first season. Um, Mostly because of the storytelling, and also because of how the budgets massively increased. Like, there was a lot of time spent on this season, and also a lot of big VFX scenes. So I would say that they outdid themselves as a TV show, and it's definitely cemented itself in one of the best TV shows ever. And this season just proves it, because there's so many different storylines going on. It's not just one main focus on the kids. It was, some of the Joyce, Hopper, and all that stuff as well. So they didn't seem like side characters or boring in any way either. It was all done very beautifully, and the payoff for that in the finale was also pretty good. So
Mhm.
I just loved that, and I loved that Steve and Robin didn't die. That was my one thing that I would say that made
Thank
me
God.
happy. Yeah, that was one thing. Yeah, but again, if I had one negative, I would say that I didn't like how they did the fake death for Max like twice and thrice. By the second or third time, I would have just killed her off, because they did the emotional scene twice already, and then she's still alive. But to the counterpoint of that, she is alive, but will she be back to normal? And I don't think she will be. And I think her being bedridden will play a huge part in the next season. And I'm I don't want to say this, but I'm my theory is that they are probably going to do something from a game that I really like. And I'm thinking that they will probably do that, and that will be very emotional. So if they are doing that, then it's probably for the best. But I do feel that that's one of the things that I was like, really, like, third time, come on. But yeah, everything apart from that was fantastic. Eddie's, the rock scene, amazing. Like, every upside down scene was amazing, and the whole season I
Great
was,
song, by the way. Just
yeah,
saying, great song choice, Eddie.
yeah. And the whole season I was also thinking about one thing constantly, which is there was literally no use of slow motion ever throughout
Mhm.
the season. But when that final scene was happening, it was all in slow motion, and I was like, okay, this is why they were saving it. It was for this one moment, and I was like, yes, now this is perfect. And yeah, I loved it, and especially with that, the mashup of Kate Bush over the Stranger Things theme song. I was like, this is perfect. So yeah,
Mhm.
they landed the finale way better than most shows do, and I was really impressed. What do you think of it?
So I first off, I think I was a little bit critical of them splitting the season into two. You know, kind of like part A, part B. I've never been a fan of that. You know, it's when
Yes.
I wasn't a fan of that when Breaking Bad did that, or like when Game of Thrones did that. I've never been a fan of that. But I think in this case, with with these two episodes and how they're such massive cinematic type of shows, I think the call was necessary. And I think it worked to its favor because it did feel like I didn't feel like I was watching two episodes. I felt like I was watching a 4 hour movie
Yep.
with two of them, those two kind of like back to back. And I think especially the finale, the final episode of the season is probably, and you can quote me on this, some of the best TV I've seen in years.
I
I
agree.
could not be more happier. It's just it was funny. I was sitting there kind of going like, this feels more cinematic than a lot of the movies I have seen this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I couldn't be more I couldn't be more happier. I loved the way that kind of like everybody had a part to do. And that was my criticism about part A was that not everybody had a thing to do because I was like, oh well, Mike, Jonathan, and Will are kind of the bench warmers. They're just thrown to the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
And here they have something important to do right here, which I was really happy about. So I was like, okay, it was worth it to get to this moment right here.
Yeah. I also loved
So
that scene with Jonathan and Will, in the kitchen.
oh,
Yeah.
it was very poignant. I missed those types of moments between Jonathan and Will because we haven't had them in so long. So
Yeah.
it was
And
nice
he
to
even
see
said
that
that.
moment again.
He himself said that, like, we were so close, what happened? Why aren't you talking to me
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was pretty good.
Exactly, absolutely, man. I loved it, and you mentioned the usage of Kate Bush with the Stranger Things theme. That I am surprised that hasn't been on that hasn't been on the soundtrack because that is just epic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with that use of it, I especially love the drums coming in, and you cut to kind of like Hopper killing the Demogorgon, which I saw as kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons reference, like Hopper's slaying his dragon with a sword at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was so cool, and just kind of like how you're going to Steve, Robin, and Nancy doing their thing, and Nancy's going all Sarah Connor and shooting Vecna in the chest with
Yeah.
that. I was first off, I just want to say Nancy has never been more hotter than that moment.
Yep. And Steve
So
saw that.
oh yeah, I don't blame Steve at that moment for being attracted to Nancy again because.
Yeah.
Who can blame him for that? Yeah, like, God, it was amazing, man. I couldn't be happy. The one thing I was not a fan of this season was Argyle.
Yeah.
Look, I get you want to do like your 80s stoner Spicoli type that you usually get in these shows, but one of the things I'd always appreciate about Stranger Things is that they took those 80s movie archetypes and made them deeper. Like Hopper, his archetype is that he's like the 80s action hero, like a Stallone or Schwarzenegger type. But they have shown throughout this whole series that he's a damaged and broken man.
Mm-hmm.
And with, Steve, they try to establish him as kind of like a Johnny Lawrence 80s bully type.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he's had probably one of the best, progressions in TV history with how they've done Steve Harrington. So I like that they took these ace archetypes and did more with them. But with Argyle, it's like he's just a straight up, just stereotypical 80s stoner that just slows everybody down. And I just kind of thought really wasn't needed. And I've heard the argument for people saying, well, you have to have comic relief. And my counter to that is, well, isn't Murray already comic relief?
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, I didn't like Argyle, but everything else I absolutely love, and I especially love the way it sets up for the final season, which we're due to see it in 2024, I believe. So I love how
One
it
can
sets
hope.
everything up in motion. Fingers crossed. Well, we were supposed to get season 4, I think, in 21, and look how that turned out.
Yeah.
So I do like how it sets everything up for the final season. I especially like that it ends with like a very orchestral version of the Stranger Things theme, which does tell us that shit's about to hit the fan and that we are going to have kind of like an epic kind of conclusion to the story.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I gather from it.
Yeah, I don't know how they can get bigger than this, but you know, it's just I think they'll just have to just use, film cameras and stuff like that for the last season because I don't know how they can get bigger than this. Like,
Well, Power of the Dog, which was a Netflix movie, it was shot on 35 mil, so it is possible.
mm-hmm.